community-supported service of Ball State University.
Barrett Associates has been helping companies make successful personnel decisions using employment background screenings, pre-employment screenings, and background checks for 40 years. Since 1979, Barrett Associates offers clients the highest level of customer service, legal compliance, and ease of process.
Rushville is leading the way in rural Indiana. It is a city having fun, thinking differently, and getting things done. Community pride, aggressive planning, and a strong team have given Rushville the confidence and tools necessary to succeed in tomorrow's world.
Now Entering is made possible with support from City of Rushville, Barrett Associates, with additional support from American Family Insurance, Kevin Snyder, agent, Citizens State Bank, First Financial Bank, Heart of Rushville, Jane Smiley, CPA, Rush County Chamber of Commerce, Payne Insurance, Rush County Economic and Community Development Corporation.
Hi, I'm Mayor Mike Pavey. You're now entering Rushville.
The Flat Rock River winds through the rich farmland of Rush County in east central Indiana, passing under ornate covered bridges built generations ago by a local family. At the center of Rush County, the river passes along the southern edge of the county seat of Rushville. Riverside Park is located here, which has been a gathering place for generations of families, watching automobile races, and before that, horse races. In fact, the horse racing industry was a key part of Rushville's growth in the late 1800s. Decades later, Rushville's favorite son-in-law, Wendell Willkie, was the Republican nominee for president in 1940, and his decision to locate his campaign headquarters in Rushville brought visitors from near and far. Today, Rushville is revitalizing historic downtown buildings, and passionate local artists leave their own mark on this small city. But the charm of Rushville is more than what meets the eye. You'll find it in the stories told here by the residents themselves, through their own photos and videos. You are now entering Rushville, Indiana.
Yeah, Riverside Park, the idea, I think a lot of people think that ideas come and they're this magical, perfect little thing, but it came from a lot of different directions. One was years ago where Riverside Park, the horse track was, when it became a non-functioning entity, they closed it down and it became known as I think they called it the dump farm. And so it was used for farming, but a lot for just abandoning stuff. In the early 1900s, the levee was put in to protect the city of Rushville from floods. And in doing that, they went in and cleaned that area up. It kind of gave the community an opportunity to see that area, but it was down in a low spot and kind of surrounded by trees. So that is where Riverside Park, that's where it had gotten to. And the city of Rushville had always taken attempts at putting on concerts in our community, and they did that, and they were going to be paid concerts, but probably what we lacked was we didn't have an outdoor venue, and our indoor venue wasn't air conditioned. The concerts were good, they were quality, and they were a neat effort, but they were never able to pay for themselves. And so those were two things that existed out there that never quite came together. Johnson County had what they called the horse park. And the horse park had a building out in the middle of a field, and they put on free concerts. So the group of us would go over, we would work them, and as kind of like today, you have a lot of people standing around talking about different things. And we started talking about why couldn't this idea, or at least this concept, work in our community. And eventually, one of the gals who used to go to the concerts, her husband was part of the security team, said, "Is there any way I can help you?" And I said, "If you would, write a letter to the city council and say, I've seen this idea, it would probably work, let's try it." When she put the letter in to the council, it seemed to get momentum. And so they came back and said, "Here's the deal. We think we have 50% of the money to build the venue. We don't have 100% of the money. So if you can figure out how to get this done, figure out how to get it done." So now we had an action plan. We had something we would move forward with. And at that point we said, cut through the trees, cut us one trail through the trees so that we can go down and see what this old area that was abandoned, what it looks like. And it was kind of that aha moment. We came through the trees and we stood there, and there's this bowl shaped for acoustics. It was perfect. A park that might get water once a year, because that's what it's designed to do, is hold water. And we suddenly realized we might have a location, we don't have all the funding. So we went back to the community and asked them, if we will provide the materials, will you as contractors, will you step up and build us this venue? And they said, yeah, we're willing to. The first concert we ever did was a well-attended concert, which was the Wright brothers. And that is how the summer concert series started. In the years from 2005 to 2019, we will have hosted 93 free concerts. And the formula behind all of that is that we wanted to have the opening band to be a local startup type of band, and the main event to be a band that was at least known regionally, and many of them have been known nationally. We wanted to provide people with something that was special, and we felt like if we could provide free concerts, and they were varied. One of the things that is unique, the last concert of this season will be a band from Japan, a Nigerian drumming band, and Gaelic Storm, which is probably one of your most famous Irish bands. All that'll happen in Rushville, Indiana. And so for a kid from Rushville, Indiana, to be able to say that as I grew up, I knew I loved bluegrass because I was able to go to a concert every year. I was able to see this, I was able to see that. I think that's a huge opportunity for those kids to be able to have a neat experience, a quality of life, a quality of place experience in a small rural community. And I think that makes it unique.
My name is Eleanor Arnold, and I'm going to tell you the story of one man's family and how they came to Rush County and are still here. The Arnold family were living in the Isle of Wight, England, which is an island off the Florida of England, off the southern coast of England, not very warm, but there. They wanted to come because of high taxes, and the brave new world was opening up here in the United States. Great-great-grandfather of my husband, who was a John Arnold, they were all John Arnolds. He came over with his brother Richard and a hired man named George Stretch, and they came over by boat, landed in Philadelphia, and they floated down the Ohio River. Their destination was to be Illinois, but in Cincinnati, they stopped to get supplies, and Dr. Drake, who is a well-known historian in Cincinnati, was talking to them, and he said, "Oh, you don't want to go there. It's not healthy there." He said, "There's good land opening up just now, and you should go up into this land." So they sold the ark, they bought horses, moved on up north of Indianapolis, and came back and decided they'd found their home here in Rush County. First John went down and signed for $1.25 an acre. He bought 160 acres that he had decided he'd like to have. The family that he had left behind, his wife and his 3 children, came over by boat, accompanied by another brother who also was going to settle right beside them. And then in the fall of 1821, the family was reunited here in Rush County. They were farmed, of course, and they also had a store and post office. So we have some of the old ledgers, which shows a lot of brandy and whiskey got bought, but also powder and lead and calico and pins pins and needles and all the things that pioneer families needed, they had. The son, who was 6 years old when they came over, who was also John, and we call him Dr. John to distinguish among the Johns, he grew to maturity and loved it. Has, in fact, wrote a book, Reminiscence of an Old Settler, remembering his young life. And he then went to school and became a doctor. He was a pioneer physician. We have his saddlebags still full of the medicine. That land purchased in that day is still in the Arnold name, still being farmed by Arnolds, and has been and continues in our family from then until now.
My name is Barbara Arnold Harcourt, and I am the daughter of Eleanor Arnold. We were farming with my grandparents and my uncle, and so we were at their house and their houses off and on, and I went out with my dad in the fields as much as I could. and my mom says that I actually took my naps when I was so young, that I took my naps in the shadow of the truck. Now, I was of the generation that we still didn't have water in the house. We had a pump on the back porch, and all the work that my mom had raising 3 children in diapers without indoor plumbing. And she would pump water on the back porch, heat it on the stove, and bathe us and cook with it and everything like that. We had outhouses, even outhouses that had a little place for a little person to sit. And my grandparents didn't get water until I was like 8 or 9 years old. We got water when I was probably 7 in the house.
There were so many Johns. There's the first John, the one that came over from England, the Dr. John, who was 6 years old when he came. Then his son, John, for lack of anything better, he's the 3rd John. And then his son, John Clifford, John C. We always call him John C. And then they just go right on down to my son, who was unfortunately killed in a farm accident, but he was the, I guess, 5th or 6th John Arnold. And the name is still in use. 7, I think, generations. And of course, they've got a little great-grandson who's only 3.5, and he's out there farming too. He loves the market gardening. That's the kind of farming they're doing now. The big changes that I have seen in my own time, from my father farming with horses down to where my great-grandchildren and my little 3-year-old great-grandchild are farming, they're now doing the type of what we call farmers market gardening, organic, with small quantities of food, no pesticides. In a way, they're coming back sustainable farming, in that they are composting and putting in manure so that they're not using all the chemicals that are just commonplace in the kind of farming that's going on now. And it's almost a return in some ways to the kind of farming that I saw as a child. I've always told my husband I was so glad he married me and brought me to Rush County, because it's such a kind, welcoming community, and we have that true neighborliness and kindness that we associate with country life.
I'm president of the Heart of Rushville, and I'm here today to talk about the Princess Theater and the City Center project. The building was originally built by the Masons in Rush County. It was built in 1914. The main reason was for the house their lodge, which was on the 2nd floor. They put commercial space down on the 1st floor. So they put in the Princess Theater, which was a small theater at that time, a 4-lane bowling alley, and they also had the post office located there as well. The Princess Theater was one of the first made-for-movie only movie theaters in the state. In 1918, Walter Easley, who owned the Princess Theater, realized that movies were no longer just a passing fad, but they were becoming very popular. So at that time, he closed the theater, he tore out the bowling alley, and expanded the Princess Theater into the space it occupies now. It went from a 300-seat single-level theater to a 600-seat, 2-level with a balcony theater, and it was quite the showplace at the time. The Princess Theater was really a mainstay of the community through most of the 20th century. It was the place where you went to go meet. It's a place where kids went in the evenings. But in the 1980s, as with many small-town theaters, it started to face its decline. A lot of the people started going out of town to the big megaplex theaters. There was a lot more entertainment options, cable TV, video games, that sort of thing. There had been several attempts to try to bring the Princess Theater back. In 2005, the Heart of Rushville got a planning grant from the Indiana Landmarks Foundation to do a plan on how to revitalize it. Several attempts were made to then fund it, but they were failed attempts. The Heart of Rushville is an Indiana Main Street organization. Our goal is to revitalize downtown Rushville, to bring more industry, more buildings, more commercial, and more things to do to Rushville. And in 2014, the city of Rushville purchased the theater from the Masons as the Masons moved to a smaller building. And that's really what kickstarted the whole idea of getting the Princess Theater and the whole building back into a functioning building again. The theater is run by Wolf Theaters, which is a megaplex theater out of Greensburg. They have a 10-screen theater down there. They treat us as one of their screens, so we get first-run movies, which is highly unusual for a small town. So it occupies the preponderance of the first floor. Ivy Tech moved in and is going to provide community college classes at the city center. And then the city of Rushville has their city offices consolidated for the first time in over 100 years in one building on the second floor. The Princess Theater through all of its life has been such a cornerstone for Rushville. It has been an anchor for the downtown, and it has returned to that now. We have been showing movies there for about 9 months. The locals, it keeps them in town. It also brings in people from out of town to see the movies here at Rushville. It is directly responsible for a lot of the rebirth we're seeing in downtown. More restaurants, more retail. As people, you can come downtown, you can shop at Radio Shack or some of the businesses that are downtown. You can stop and get a coffee at one of our coffee shops like Mocha Moose. And after dinner, you can go see the movie and enjoy, a nice evening downtown. It's a beautiful downtown to walk through. We've got some neat art and other things that people can experience. One of the things Rushville has done as part of their rebirth of the downtown has created a template that other towns can pick up. And several towns throughout Indiana and outside the state have come to Rushville to talk to our city leaders. Again, the whole idea of the Princess Theater being a satellite screen of a megaplex allows other small towns who have theaters like that to enter in similar agreements.
My name is Brian Sheehan. I'm the Director of Special Projects for the City of Rushville. The Stellar designation, it's a state award or designation that allows the city to achieve many of its goals. There are 11 state agencies that come together that provide a big incentive or award at the end if you're designated. So for us, it meant having road projects, trails, housing, downtown beautification. The biggest, I think, advantage was having the community as a whole try to come together and win a prize. We had been second in many things over the years. The 76 Lions, the 81 Lady Lions, a number of things where our community had finished second, and we had not had that big win. So it was nice to see us rally together, win the prize, and to do it against communities like Shelbyville and Warsaw, which certainly were formidable opponents. I was actually hired as Director of Special Projects April 4th, 2016. On April 5th, we found out that we were a finalist. My number one job for that year, and since then, has been to be the chairman and really lead the Stellar effort. There were many different organizations, but the ones that helped fund it were certainly the City of Rushville. Special thanks to the Council and Board of Works and all those that supported that. The County Council put dollars towards this project, and so did the Rush County Community Foundation. I would say our key team would be our presentation team. That's the group that got together, and we were the ones that sold our community to the state. It was Mayor Pavey, John McCain, Economic Development Director, Bryant Niehoff, who was the Area Plan Director at the time, Brittany Meek, who was head of Partners for Progress, that was a coalition of community groups, and then our super intern, Mason Gordon, and myself. There were 8 total projects. There's a big park overhaul down by Riverside Park where we do our concert series. There's a splash pad involved down there. There's walking trails. There were housing projects, which were huge for us, the camping quarters projects and the Windsor, which were both big, old, dilapidated buildings that had a lot of meaning to our community, but were just failing. And then also we had a Main Street streetscape, which completely renovated the downtown area with new lighting, new bump outs by the farmers market, a new decorative clock, new bricks in the sidewalk. Also, Morgan Street will have an addition that'll be coming soon. In our presentation to the state, part of our presentation told them that if they picked us, here's why they would pick us. It was because we started to work together. We got the right people on the bus. In picking us, we'd make sure that any of the knowledge that we learned, best practices, we would transfer that to other communities throughout the state. I think we presented to over 30 different counties, and then we've done probably 10 presentations that would have had multiple communities in it, just telling our story of our downtown renaissance. The neat thing about that is Since the designation, we've had 92 projects totaling $116 million, which is incredible when you think about the city. We have an assessed value of $156 million before that period started. So it is a big deal. You know, although we're very proud of our history, as you'll see from this program, I'm even more proud of what we're becoming. 2022 will be Rushville's bicentennial that we'll want to celebrate. But what I think is really cool is with the rebirth of our downtown, 2022 might just be appreciating all of the work that's happened in the past 10 years. You know, if you would have told me 10 years ago that we'd have 10 major projects downtown, I think 6 of those that are restoring old buildings and just breathing the life back in our community, I wouldn't have believed you. But with our community rallying together, we've done that. I think 2022 will be a great time to celebrate all of our current activity.
I am Becky Webb, and I'm here today to talk about the Kennedy family and their covered bridges that they built. The Kennedy family built close to 60 covered bridges in central and southern Indiana and 2 bridges in southwest Ohio. The first bridge was built in 1870 in Dunlapsville in Union County. It was built by Archibald McMichael Kennedy, who is my great-great-grandfather. But his son Emmett, my great-grandfather, worked with him. Upon the completion of that bridge, Emmett joined in a partnership with his father, and they built covered bridges until a second of Archibald's son, Charles Freeman Kennedy, joined the business. And then Archibald retired from the business to pursue his political career, and the brothers built bridges as the Kennedy brothers. Then Charles dropped out because of an injury that he sustained in a fall from the framework of the Circleville Bridge, and he went on to pursue a career in law in Indianapolis. And Emmett built bridges by himself until first son Carl and then son Charles Ross joined him. The last bridge was built in 1918 in Wayne County, the bridge over Nolan's Fork. The model was built in 1872. That winter, Emmett was confined to the house from a serious illness, so using his penknife, which is a small pocket knife, he fashioned the pieces from scrap pieces of white pine from an actual bridge. The model is 42 inches in length, and it is built to scale. There were no nails used, only wedges and nuts and bolts, but there were no nuts and bolts available that were to the right size, so Emmett had a jeweler make them to scale at a cost of $10. Today that translates to over $200. The purpose of the bridge was to show the county commissioners who awarded the contracts for the building of bridges the design of the bridge, to show them the Burr arch to the upper chord and the lower chord and all the parts of the bridge, so that they could understand how the bridge was to be made. And then a question usually came up, well, how strong is this bridge going to be? Will it last? And so 2 piles of books were placed, one under each end of the bridge. One book was placed on the center top of the bridge, and Archibald, who was a man who stood over 6 feet tall and weighed between 250 and 300 pounds, would then stand on the little model. And that is the model that resides here at the Historical Society, has not been repaired. There were several characteristics that always identify a Kennedy covered bridge. There were always the curved portals or arches as you entered the bridge. Now, some of the pictures, if you look at them, you'll see that they've been squared off. That was to accommodate the taller vehicles that went through them. Some of the bridges actually had semis crossing them before they were dismantled. They also had hand-carved corbels or gables at the roof line on the portal entrances. On each side of the portal at the bottom, there was molding that was applied to give the appearance of a Roman column, and above those there were hand-carved design, vine looking, that Emmett was responsible for the design of. They used white pine except for what is known as the screwback. The screwback is the lower part of the arch that rests in the abutment. Those were made of native oak. The siding was always hung horizontally, also to distribute the weight of the bridge to the abutment or the pier as opposed to directly over the river. The last thing that they did after the framework of the bridge was completed, the flooring, the siding, the shingle roof was added. Then they were painted white. There are 6 bridges that still remain in Rush County. There are 6 other Kennedy bridges in other locations in Indiana. I am awed by what my great and great-great-grandfather have built. It amazes me that all of this was done without the use of power equipment. The beams are huge. The tools that were used were typical in a carpenter's trade. And usually those bridges were a perfect fit. The upright posts were always either 8 or 10 feet apart. How did they measure across the river so accurately where these were going to go? And I'm just amazed by them. I was a high school math teacher, and I credit my math skills to these 2 gentlemen.
Going on.
It certainly does.
This is just the beginning. Good evening, and thanks for joining us for the newest installment of WIPB's Now Entering series as we visit the town of Rushville. I'm Michelle Kinsey, Community Engagement Manager for WIPB.
And I'm Angie Rapp, the Marketing Manager for WIPB. We're so happy you could join us for this unique local program that gives you the opportunity to get to know the people and places of Rushville through stories told by the people who live there. And behind us on this phone bank, give yourselves a hand.
Yay, phone bank!
We have some of those wonderful storytellers and volunteers.
We had a great time visiting Rushville and learning about what makes this town special. And we are here this evening not only to celebrate Rushville, but to ask you to be a part of what makes WIPB special, our members. The best way to do that is to make a donation tonight, which helps us create more of the local programming you enjoy and want to see on WIPB. Call us right now at 800-252-9472 to talk to one of our awesome Rushville phone volunteers, or go online to WIPB.org.
We want to hear from you. Let's get those phones ringing right now and keep our awesome phone volunteers busy tonight. If you know folks who are from Rushville and have moved away, let them know that they can go to WIPB.org and watch the live stream right now. You can also watch us on the WIPB Facebook page. So just go to Facebook and then search for WIPB-TV and like the page, and then you can see the stream right there in Facebook Live. And don't forget to leave us a comment with the hashtag #NowenteringRushville. We will be reading those comments on the air.
WIPB loves being able to go out into the communities we serve and connect with you by providing the best in local programming, the arts, history, science and news, as well as through our community engagement activities. We would love it if tonight you would take just a minute and make that connection with us by calling in with your support. When you call in with a gift of $60, we'll send you the Now Entering Rushville DVD. Or if you make a donation of $108, we'll send you 2 DVDs. We have bonus material on the DVD, including a look behind the scenes on our production day and footage not seen in the program. All you have to do is call us and talk to one of the volunteers behind me at 800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org.
If you've been watching, you know the stories you've seen tonight are being told by your friends and neighbors from Rushville, Indiana. They went out and shot the video, collected the photos, and then sat down with our crew and told all the stories you're enjoying this evening. It's no small feat to make it all come together. It's truly a partnership between WIPB and the whole town of Rushville. And now we're asking you to do your part by becoming a partner yourself by calling 800-252-9472 or going online to WIPB.org to make a gift of support. You'll receive your very own copy of the Now Entering Rushville DVD for a gift of $60. And you'll get 2 DVDs if you donate $108. So give us a call and let us know that you support Now Entering Rushville.
We have a few other benefits when you support WIPB tonight. You'll receive our on-the-air program guide and the WIPB Passport. WIPB Passport makes it easier for you to watch your favorite programs by giving you access to an on-demand library of PBS programming. You can access Passport anytime, anywhere, 24/7. So make that call now to 800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org.
This month in Passport, your on-demand library of the best of PBS.
Country music is truth-telling.
You can dance to it, you can cry to it. It has something for everybody.
If your own country betrays you, to whom do you then owe loyalty?
The images really blew our minds.
What we found was staggering.
These and other shows are available with Passport. Become a member of this PBS station, sign in, and start streaming today.
Country music is truth-telling.
Binge country music with Passport.
You can dance to it, you can cry to it.
The people who built this country, that's where country and blues come from.
Country music comes from right in here.
Country music. Binge all episodes now with Passport.
We absolutely love putting together this local series. I think it's one of the best and most important things we do here on WIPB. Part of our mission is to be the local voice for the audience of East Central Indiana. And this evening, we're bringing you the stories of Rushville. The great folks of Rushville came together to help make this show possible. Thanks so much to everyone who's already called in, supporting great local programs that only WIPB, your local PBS station, can bring you. If you haven't called in yet, go to your phones now, 800-252-9472, or go online at WIPB.org and click on the donate button to make your gift in support of Now Entering Rushville. Remember, with your gift of support of $60, we'll send you a DVD of Now Entering Rushville as your thank you gift. Or if you'd like to give $108, we'll send you 2 DVDs. The DVD has bonus materials including behind-the-scenes production day footage and much more. In the first segment, you got to hear just a handful of the many stories Rushville has to tell. And now Michelle is with one of those storytellers. Over to you, Michelle.
Thanks, Angie. This guy probably looks familiar because he opened the show this evening. This is Mayor Mike Pavey. Mike, how did it feel to see yourself on the screen as the tape started rolling?
It felt like it put 20 pounds on me, but no, it felt great.
We all feel that. We all feel that. You are not alone in that feeling. We all feel that.
No, it's a very proud moment. Very proud because it's a great community. Great to come out and represent that great community.
Absolutely. Why did you want to get involved in this project? Why did you feel, yes, Rushville is a perfect town for Now Entering? Well,
Rushville's got a really cool story. Rushville is, like every other rural community, trying to get its message out and trying to let people know what neat communities exist out there. A lot of communities, you see them trying to build downtowns and talk about, history, and their history is 40 years old. Yeah. Where we're out restoring a downtown that was built hundreds of years ago, and talking about our stories, which are hundreds of years old, which are really cool, unique stories.
Right. And you've seen the town go through a lot of changes. I understand you are a lifelong resident?
I am. I'm a lifelong resident, the youngest of 11.
Oh, my goodness.
So yeah, that's kind of a unique background. So yeah, I've seen a lot of changes go on in Rushville, and really proud of the momentum we're starting to get.
Absolutely. So what did you think when you started putting the call out and you were encouraging residents to come out and participate in this project? Were you happy about the stories that came out of that? Yeah,
the stories about Rushville are awesome stories, and the people who are telling the stories line up perfectly with the people who should be telling those stories. So no, what you're seeing today is those genuine people telling their stories of things that they're passionate about, and that's, as the mayor of the community, that's a wonderful experience you're very, very proud of.
Right. I can't imagine seeing these stories unfold on camera and seeing your town shine like it is this evening.
Yeah, like I say, Rushville has an awesome history.
Yeah.
And being able to tell it, share it with the world, and have people look back nostalgically, those who have moved away or those who are still there, just be proud of their community.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to hear a lot more stories tonight. I know you're excited to see more of those stories, and we're going to go back to Angie, and pretty soon we'll get back to those amazing histories that you talked about. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle and Mayor Mike. We're here celebrating the town of Rushville, but there are all sorts of reasons to celebrate WIPB. From programs that inform, educate, and inspire, to impactful children's programs, to in-depth news, and the best in arts and cultural programming anywhere. What better way to support the station that brings you such a diverse range of national and local programming than to make a contribution right now? We make it easy for you. You choose the amount, you choose if you'd like a thank you gift, and you choose how you'd like to pay. It's really a simple process. So give us a call right now at 800-252-9472, or you can go online to WIPB.org and click on Donate to make your gift of support on our online form.
I think, do we have some thank yous?
I haven't been handed any yet,
All right.
but I can read a couple of comments from the Facebook.
Oh, I love that. We've got people tuning in live on Facebook, so if you would like to do that and get in on the watch party, please feel free. We've got right below the live feed, you can comment about maybe you lived there before, maybe you still live there now, maybe you recognize somebody on the phone bank. So what are you hearing, Angie?
So Barbara Ellis says, I'm so proud to have been raised in Rushville, Indiana. Best hometown ever.
I love that.
Alan Smith says, pretty cool. Mark Click, interesting. Cody Michael Abrams said, hey, Delbert. Yeah, so a lot of people doing shout outs. And we'll be hearing from you soon if you get on and make a comment.
Great. Do we have any thank yous that we should read? Oh, here comes Margaret.
Thank
you. All right. Who
I'll
we
let
thanking?
you read it.
We thank Nan Prout. Is that right?
Yeah.
Of Sandusky, Ohio.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for calling in.
Starting out with a bang.
Nan.
Yeah,
That's right.
That's great.
Far and wide. She says, it's tremendous. I'm so proud.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you so much for calling in. We want you to be just like Nan and give us a call right now and support WIPB and support Now Entering. Oh, another one.
Thank you also to Denise Payne. So thanks. Denise says, we are Rush County proud. Payne Insurance for all your insurance needs. Oh, you got a little underwriting you plug in there.
Oh, sneaky.
Yeah, I need to read those in advance next time. It's okay. Thank you so much for calling in.
Wonderful. And we will keep doing that. So every time we get a phone call, or if you go online and you leave a comment, give a little shout out about Rushville or somebody on the panel, or maybe one of the stories, we will read that on air.
Absolutely. And if you're not a member of WIPB yet, now is the time to pick up that phone and give us a call at 800-252-9472, or go online at WIPB.org and show your commitment to excellent public television and that only WIPB can bring you.
Next up, we'll visit Marine Sergeant Major Robert Brown, learn about a horse named Blue Bull 75, and hang out with the Rushville FFA.
My name is Bill Stahl, and I'm here to talk to you about the Pioneer Engineers Club of Indiana here in Rush County, Indiana. The Pioneer Engineers Club was brought on by a group of people that were part of an organization called Brotherhood of Threshermen. And they were fairly local, but they decided to dissolve that club in 1946. Some of the members of that club, along with some of the other members in Rush and maybe Decatur County, came together and said, hey, we would like to pick up on this. They didn't want to lose all this history. They protected and kept enough of that equipment out of the scrap yards. During 47 and 48, they had the first organized show. The first show had 2 engines. One was a Garscott, which is currently in Richmond, Indiana at the museum. And then there was a 50 horsepower Case, which is still a steam engine that is shown at our show every year. That first show was at the Rush County Fairgrounds, and then for several years, and then it moved to Porter's Sawmill, which is out north of Rushville in Rush County. And then in 1957, it moved to the Rush County Conservation Club, which is just east of Rushville. The 50th anniversary was excellent because at that time we were one of the oldest shows in the country. It was an opportunity to just celebrate. I mean, everybody likes to celebrate something on 50 years. So we brought in 50 steam engines, which was a huge event for us since typically we bring in 25, 30, maybe 30 engines a year. But that year we had 50. It was special. At the Conservation Club, we kind of ran out of space. We were just bulging and we couldn't grow anymore. So we decided to buy a farm, Caldwell Pioneer Acres, 3.5 miles south of Rushville, and built that into a very neat showgrounds. Plus, even we're kind of building it into a bit of a village with some other buildings. One of the first things we put in was a permanent sawmill, and which a sawmill is a big focal point of our show. We were able to acquire a Kennedy Bridge. On the other side of that bridge, we have a blacksmith shop, a multi-forge, has several forges in it. That was all built new with wood that we sawed on our own sawmill. We have a metalworking building, a machine shop with a line shaft, which one shaft is hooked to a engine, and then all the machinery is run off of that same line. Now we're building a woodworking shop. We have a clubhouse which we have built there, which is used for other events throughout the year. During the show, we start the day with singing the national anthem and flag raising and a prayer. When that's over with, we have a cannon blast, which is always a crowd favorite. Then the day events start. The sawmill will start up. The threshing machine will be set up out in the field and start threshing. We have an area on our grounds where we can plow. There's food and flea market and lots of activities on the ground. And then we have a parade every day at noon. And then we have noon whistle.
3, 2, 1.
Extremely noisy, but everybody loves it. We do have a steam calliope. It's been there for as many years as I can remember. It comes from Miamisburg, Ohio. The reunion is on the first weekend of August. It always starts on the first weekend of August. The show is absolutely open to the public. It's $10 for a 4-day weekend, or $5 for one day. I don't know where you can find a deal like that anywhere for the type of entertainment you get.
Robert A. Brown. I'm a Marine Sergeant Major. That's the highest enlisted rank. And they say we're the meanest people on earth. And I was in for 24 years. And from March of 12th of 1945 to April the 30th of 1960. Okay, World War II was still going on, the Pacific and the European theaters. I said, Mother, I've got to go into service. All of my buddies are in. She said, okay, but, and then I said, Mother, I can go in the Merchant Marine because those guys make good money hauling supplies overseas. She said, all right, that sounds pretty safe. We got the address for the Merchant Marines in Indianapolis, and we went up there. We went up the steps to where they were at on the second floor, and right above the door it said United States Marine Corps. I said, Mother, I said, I'll go in there, that'll be all right. She said, okay. So I enlisted then. I took the written test, and you know how you are when you're a little befuddled and so forth. An old warrant officer said, why did you not complete the word Protestant? I said, I forgot what the last half of it was. So he said, all right. He said, you'll make a good Marine. And they were training us. We didn't know it at the time, but we were being trained to make an amphibious landing on Nagasaki. We were getting close to when we were to be shipped out, and they dropped the atom bombs in. But we had to go on, and we landed in Nagasaki, but we were part of General MacArthur's occupational force. That's when we got back to the States, and we went into the 7th Marine Regiment then, and they came along and said that they needed men to learn the commissary trade. And it was just like Kroger, big supermarket. I was infantry. Plus I was from Rushville. So I tried to learn the book work and the paperwork and everything that they had us do in the office. And one day the tech sergeant come in, he said, Brown, they need some drill instructors down at Parris Island, South Carolina. I said, send me down there. So I had to get out of that crazy place. It was terrible. Then the Korean War started. Well, I had just went from the active reserve to the inactive for just a very, very short time. And I thought, I gotta go. So I called our colonel up, and the colonel, I said, I got to go with you. He said, well, we're getting ready to pull out. I said, if you'll cut me orders, I'll meet you out there. So he did. April 22nd of 51, I got wounded. You've seen the MASH program on TV. Well, that's where they took us to, one of them. And it was just about as crazy as that was. But it was all in good fun, and they were tremendous doctors. Every function we've had for Veterans Day, for Memorial Day, 4th of July, Rush County has a tremendous turnout. And far as I'm concerned, this is the best county in the world. I go different places. I go into a restaurant, and somebody ends up paying for my meal. And I told one group, I said, please give me your attention. I said, somebody here paid for my meal, and the waitress held up her finger. 4 of them pitched in and paid for it. I said, I thank you folks. I'll be here tomorrow night. And so it's my city. I'm the Sergeant Major of Rush County. In fact, I'm the only one. I can say that.
I'm John Wilson, and I'm here today to talk about the equine industry in Rush County, Indiana. Right before the Civil War and during and after the Civil War, horses were very important, not only on the farm, but here in town. During the Civil War, a horse ended up in Rush County named Blue Bull 75 that kind of changed the whole atmosphere in the community. And from that time forward, we became very important in the horse industry. He was a pacing horse, and in those times they used pacing horses and trotting horses to pull their buggies and carts. They preferred a trotting horse. His offspring were taught to trot by using toe weights. Even though he was a pacer, they had speed on the trot, and that became very important. And then once they raced them, they became even more important because they were money makers. Blue Bull 75 became the reason why so many people came to Rush County and were in the horse business. He had over 900 foals, And the one filly that gave some notoriety to him was a filly named Purity that trotted in under 2 minutes and 30 seconds in New York and gave the East Coast notice that we had some valuable horses out here. And Blue Bull became a very important and famous horse for that reason. In the 1880s, we had 25 tracks in this county. 3 of them were competition tracks, but most of them were training tracks. The horse boom in Rush County really was from post-Civil War up until about 1900. A lot of the big homes on Main Street and here on Perkins Street, and Morgan Street, and Harrison Street, those were built with horse money because there was money being made in not just in racing, but a lot of different facets of providing for the horse business. But by about 1898, 1899, horse prices had really gone down. There was to be a race at Riverside Driving Park in 1899. It got rained out, and somehow some fictitious results were sent to the American Trotting Association. They expelled 11 people from Rushville and Rush County from the American Trotting Association. It was a national news item because of the success of Rush County horses. My dad grew up with horses and farmed with horses, and so that's why I have an interest. And as a kid, we went to the harness races quite a bit. Then as a teacher, during the last few years I taught, I got involved buying some harness horses, and I've owned them for, I think, 22 years or so. We still have several people in Rush County that are in the harness racing business and enjoy it. In 1995, there was a horse from Rush County named Kimmy Lynn, a 2-year-old pacing filly that set a national mark over in Illinois, 151 and 4, and came within 2/5 of a second of setting the world mark. I think the harness racing history that we have was very important, and it's still important in some way in that there are farmers in Rush County that supply hay and feed for various harness racing operations. Some said that at the time we were rivaling Lexington, Kentucky. I'm not sure that that's exactly true, but we had that much notoriety at the time and attention. It was very, very important, and not to the degree it was then, but it's still important today.
My name is Julie Newhouse, and I am a local attorney, and I am also the president of East Hill Cemetery Company. East Hill Cemetery was established in 1859, although we had earlier burials prior to 1859, and it was established as a garden cemetery. Leo Welts, who is rumored to be the architect or a worker for the Tsar, was actually our architect for the cemetery. He also did the cemetery in Cincinnati, Ohio. A garden cemetery is a cemetery that was established to be a park-like atmosphere. People would take their lunch out on Sundays, for instance, on Sundays and Saturdays to visit their loved ones. It's about a mile out of town, and they'd spend the whole day, and they'd take their animals and they'd take their children and they'd play. And today it still is that meandering garden cemetery. Some of the notable people out there, well, the most famous one is Wendell Willkie, of course. He was the Republican candidate for president in 1940 who ran against Franklin Roosevelt. He then passed away in 1944, but his wife's family is from Rushville, and so they chose to have him buried here, and he had farms here, and they had lived here in Rushville, so he's one of them. Then we have Noel Shaw. He is a renowned evangelist from the 1800s, and he was actually born in Rush County, Indiana. He wrote "Bringing in the Sheaves" is probably his most famous song. Then we have Buddy Sizemore, who was missing in action in 1950 in Korea, and they found him. And in 2009, they finally released his remains in Hawaii, and they found him and brought him home. And he had been a singer on the Grand Ole Opry along with his family. We had a big funeral for him then. I think maybe the governor was here and other notables for Buddy. Then we have General Pleasant Hackelman. He was killed in Corinth, Mississippi, and they brought him home too. We have 2 Revolutionary War soldiers out there. We're always open to events. For instance, in the 150th anniversary of the ending of the Civil War, we had reenactors. We had a few reenactors, and then we had people giving speeches about the end of the war. And some of the speeches were from the speeches that we had in 1865. We do a lot of veterans events. Every year we do things like Memorial Day. We always have an event that day, and Veterans Day. And then sometimes the 4th of July, we'll have a parade out there too.
My name is Kenneth Brashaber, and I was the vocational ag teacher at Rushville Consolidated High School for 24 years, and prior to that, 14 years in the county school of Mays, Indiana, for 14, making a total of 38 years of teaching vocational agriculture. The United States is divided into several areas of vocational ag education. Well, I was chosen the outstanding teacher of Indiana's area my last year of teaching in 1989. If the federal government was going to support monetarily these programs in the public school system, they had to have requirements, and one of them was that every vocational discipline, like home ec and ag and so on, had to have a youth organization. In the case of agriculture, it was the Future Farmers of America, the biggest youth organization, I think, in the United States at least. And they have a convention annually that is the biggest convention of youth in our country.
My name is Hannah McGee, and right now I am a junior at Butler University, and I have had the privilege to be a part of the Rushville FFA for the past 6 years and really kind of unearth my potential throughout the Rushville FFA chapter. To say that it was good was like literally an understatement. I really tried to get involved in every type of thing, whether it's something that I necessarily would not be interested in, whether it be soils judging, crops judging. I did like almost every CDE, and which is a career development event. So you like study for all these like different types of things, and then you go to contests.
These activities had some plaques that were promoted by the Indiana FFA Foundation. One year we won 4th place in crops judging. And after that, they saw that plaque, the kids did, and from then on, I didn't have any trouble getting them motivated to want to do something. That was really a blessing in disguise. And teaching became a whole lot easier when they had something they wanted to accomplish. Over the years, we won a lot of state awards and national awards, and I would just say my biggest, I think, most outstanding award in FFA was when my chapter won the state parliamentary procedure contest. They call it the chapter meeting contest, and you train your students, all of them. And I know when I was teaching, I had a unit on parliamentary procedure, and I tried to get every student in the class to be the presiding officer sometime or other. And to this day, if I talk to any of them, that's one of the things they really remember and think was good for them, to know that.
Rushville FFA has such an outstanding chapter. Going on the state level, I didn't really know how it would compare to other chapters, but when you say you're from the Rushville FFA, you turn heads because they know the leadership that we have. We know the events that we have, like FFA Week, we decorate the entire school. So I think that on the state level, they can look at Rushville FFA and be like, wow, that's a really good chapter with really good leadership. And being a part of that is something so special. And now that I've graduated, I can look back and I can give a speech and someone will say, wow, how do you know how to do that? And I can say because of FFA. And FFA even had a hashtag going around, hashtag because of FFA, and it was cool to be able to share my story and share because of FFA what I am today, who I am today.
The thing that I think is that is rewarding is to see the accomplishments of your students you know, they do well, or they win some kind of an award or something, or they're honored for something, and you kind of feel like maybe you had a little something to do with that.
My freshman year, I went to Washington, D.C. for the Washington Leadership Conference, and there they really try to really get you to leave your legacy in your chapter. So I was 15 years old, and I had so many great ideas, and I just really wanted to create a nonprofit organization that I could have to show, not only showcase Rushville, but also the FFA. So I created my own nonprofit, and it was called the Feet Sack. I really wanted to promote urban gardening, so I would have like little bags, and like I would go to farmers markets, garden fests, and kids would have the opportunity to plant their own types of vegetables in these portable bags. So people that like live in New York can have urban gardens, and it's like, it's not that gardening is just like a farm, you know, in Rush County. Like, it's Rushville. Like, this is everywhere, and that's really what I wanted to sell, and I think it worked out really good, and I think I left a really cool impact on my community, but also as my FFA chapter as well. With Rushville, as it's doing innovation and like different things, was one of the new things was the farmers market, and the farmers market has a mural on the side where it has like an FFA member like in the garden, and so we had the opportunity to stand in front of this mural and take a picture, and it was actually right before our section parley of 2017. So it was just kind of cool to like go there before the competition, like get to see the mural, and like just kind of experience and like reflect on that, and how Rushville FFA has really meant not only to Rushville High School, but also to the Rushville community as well.
My life in Rushville and at the Durban Hotel was absolutely magical. It was fun because that hotel, and I didn't live anyplace else until I was 18, was my home.
Everybody that I know comes from Rushville or knows somebody from Rushville. My folks came to Rushville in 1926.
Dad took care of the hotel. He was the consummate businessman. He loved working with the traveling salesman. He'd been a traveling salesman. And they felt at home in our hotel. And my mother was the hostess. Dad was more reserved. Mother was more outgoing. They were such a good team.
Mother was great with the cooking.
And all of these were recipes that she developed within Ange and perfected over the years. And she liked to use all the local produce and all of the local eggs and the meats and so forth.
It was kind of the center of the whole town. We eventually had all the clubs, the Rotary, Kiwanis, Lions, Optimus, all the clubs met at the hotel. Dad and Mom were good friends of Mr. Willkie, and so he asked if they could make it his national headquarters. And of course, they were very privileged, and Mary Lee helped at the desk, and Jim would bellhop, and I was 10 years old at the time, but it kind of put the Durban and Rushville on the map.
In 1956, two of my brothers were getting out of college, and they were coming back into the business. Well, they had to make the business bigger because they couldn't support 3 families. So they decided that they would expand the restaurants.
We had a lot of banquets and weddings, and we did a lot of catering and that sort of thing. On holidays were big days for the hotel. We would serve like 1,800 people on a Easter Sunday, which was pretty good but we depended on all the towns around. Everybody was good to us.
You would think that we all eat the same breakfast cereal and we'd all be the same. But Don was very much the businessman, and he was good with numbers. And David is the creative brain. And he could transform a room or a banquet room. He created the most elegant wedding cakes. He took these classes, and then he'd come back and he would do the icing on the cakes. He created a Sunday smorgasbord buffet
that would rival anything I've seen, and I've lived a lot of different places in this world, but that was Mother's recipes and David's elegant layout, and that was pretty special. Mary Lee and I considered ourselves the bookends of the family. There's 18 years difference between my sister and myself. And in between, they sandwiched these 5 boys. And we said we're the bookends that hold this gang together.
Jim became president of Marriott Hotels when they only started out with 4 hotels. Brother Bob went with Sheraton Hotel, and he became a vice president of Worldwide Sheraton.
But my brothers and my parents had made a decision that they were going to have one member of the family who was not in the hotel business, if at all possible. Because when you work in the hotel business, it's 24/7. So John went to Notre Dame, and he came in for the restaurant show in Chicago, and his brothers and parents literally barricaded him in the suite in the hotel in Chicago and made him promise that he would, at least for 1 year, try something other than the hotel business. Now, mind you, he went on to own the whole Cummins engine distributorship for the Pacific Northwest. For a number of years, I absolutely avoided downtown Rushville. I didn't want to go by the hotel because it made me so sad.
At the time when I left it, I thought, you know, we had patched it up and put new roofs on it, and it had a flat roof, and I thought, oh boy, they need to tear this building down.
What they have done now, I saw it today for the first time since they've completed it, and it just made my heart sing because I could envision what it was during those happy years. That's pretty special.
What a wonderful story! I love that last story. It had such a beautiful ending.
I know.
Wonderful.
Oh, my turn. Hi, I'm
is.
Angie Rapp, along with Michelle Kinsey, and we are here taking a quick break from the program. Thanks so much for joining us this evening for Now Entering Rushville.
Yay!
Okay.
Yep.
The most recent episode in our Now Entering Rushville series, we wanted to remind everyone that in addition to watching us on TV tonight, we're also streaming at WIPB.org and on Facebook Live. You just have to go to Facebook and find WIPB TV and click like.
Yes.
And then the stream will show up right there in Facebook Live, so you can watch us from Facebook, from WIPB.org, or on your television set.
We've got a lot of people tuning in on Facebook, and I
We
love
do.
that, and we'll get to that in a few. Now Entering gives local communities an opportunity to have a voice and to become visual storytellers. Working with WIPB, your friends and neighbors became the filmmakers and helped us create the Now Entering episode you are watching tonight. We had a great time partnering with Rushville for this episode. We spent the day at the Rush County Historical Society Museum getting to know the storytellers and their stories. It was so much fun to see the pride each person had when they spoke of their town. And WIPB takes pride in being able to bring you quality local programs like Now Entering. Let us know you're enjoying tonight's show by calling 800-252-9472 or go online to WIPB.org and make your donation. When you give $60, you'll receive the Now Entering Rushville DVD as a thank you. The DVD has bonus footage you will not see on this evening's show, as well as behind-the-scenes footage of production day. If you contribute $108 tonight, we'll send you 2 DVDs of Now Entering Rushville. Keep one for yourself and give one as a gift.
At WIPB, we believe people want to understand the world around them and that all of us benefit from exposure to the arts, nature, science, and innovation. That's why we invest in programs like NOVA, Nature, and Masterpiece. It's why we produce local shows such as Wellness Matters, The Roundtable, and Now Entering. We believe our society is enhanced when people have access to diverse perspectives presented in a balanced way. We believe that people who participate in civic life and engage in their communities help make their communities a better place to live. That's why we partner with many community organizations on projects that focus on education, arts, health, and economic development. That's what we do at WIPB, and that's why we do it. How we do it depends on you. Membership support makes it all possible. If you believe in these values too, we welcome you to join us by calling 800-252-9472.
If you're not a member of WIPB, we hope that today is the day you will be inspired to join us. It only takes a few minutes. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call 800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org and show your commitment to excellent public television that makes a difference. If you make a gift of support tonight with a contribution of $60, we'll send you the Now Entering Rushville DVD, which will have bonus footage and photos. And if you give a little more at the $108 level, you will receive 2 DVDs of Now Entering Rushville as a thank you. For your gift of $60 or $108, you are eligible to receive WIPB Passport, which gives you access to an on-demand library of thousands of hours of PBS programming with new shows added weekly. You can watch your favorite programs when and where you want 24/7. Passport is great for those of you who have a busy schedule and can't always make time to watch your favorite programs each week.
This month in Passport, your on-demand library of the best of PBS.
Country music is truth-telling.
You can dance to it, you can cry to it. It has something for everybody.
If your own country betrays you, to whom do you then owe loyalty?
The images really blew our minds.
What we found was staggering.
These and other shows are available with Passport. Become a member of this PBS station. Sign in and start streaming today.
Country music is truth-telling.
Binge country music with Passport.
You can dance to it, you can cry to it.
The people who built this country, that's where country and blues come from.
Country music comes from right in here.
Country music. Binge all episodes now with Passport.
Passport is a great benefit for your membership with WIPB. Our world is filled with never-ending wonders that amaze, surprise, and delight us. And one of the great things about this series is that it celebrates the wonderful stories of East Central Indiana. The history, the school spirit, the people, the uniqueness of each of its towns. For decades, WIPB has been committed to bringing it all home to you. Our purpose is clear: to be an invaluable source of news, ideas, and inspiration. Please help ensure that there will always be community-centered programs right here on WIPB. It's not too late to call in your support for programs like this one. Call 800-252-9472, or you can go online to WIPB.org. And now we're going to head over to Michelle, who has another one of the storytellers with her.
Thank you so much, Angie. And with me is Sue Pryfogel, and she's been on the phone bank most of the evening. Her story is coming up later in the program. So, Sue, can you give us kind of a little tease? What is your story this evening?
Okay, well, first of all, when we were planning this whole thing, I'm sitting around a table with mostly men. And so they're throwing out man things, you know, to talk about. And
I like Sue.
And I said, wait a minute, I've got a woman for you that we've got to have a segment about.
Okay.
And she has to do with the library, and I'm the library director. And so it was kind of hand in hand. My segment starts talking about the library, but sort of morphs into a segment on Mary Sleeth, who was the very first librarian for Rushville.
And how long have you been with the library?
I've been there for 30 years.
Wow.
And until I hit 30 years, the longest librarian at the Rushville Library was Mary Sleeth.
Oh my goodness.
She was 1910 to 1932, and I broke her record years ago. So, but
nice of you to tell her story.
Yeah,
now.
but she's a remarkable woman, and I'm really excited about the what I get to tell about her.
That's wonderful. You know, in every town that we visit, when we do Now Entering, one of the first storytellers is usually from the local library. The library's like, yep, we want to tell our story. We want to be a part of this. This is great. Why do you think that is, Sue? Why do you think it's so important for libraries to tell the story and jump on board?
I think it is because virtually, hopefully, every community has a library, and it's kind of the center point of where the history of that city or county is kept, you know, kind of a focal point for the whole town.
Yeah. It has a lot of stories to tell, so it makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah. So when you were putting together this story, Sue, what was that process like for you? Did you enjoy, I'm assuming as a librarian, did you enjoy going through all of the photos? And I think we were talking a little earlier, and as soon as I said research, I believe Sue's eyes lit up. So talk a little bit about the process.
Yeah, I research a little bit. I had researched actually for years because I wanted to find out more about Mary Sleeth and so on, and the beginnings of the library and everything. And it was almost like I researched all over again because I, you know, uncovered some wonderful things and then some things that will not be mentioned.
Right.
And so
surprising, we'll leave it at that, probably.
Surprising. And so it was just kind of great looking at the old newspaper articles and trying to find information wherever I could, you know, about the beginnings of the library and Mary Sleeth.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thank you for being on the phone bank, and you'll want to stick around to check out the story about the library and Mary. But right now, we're going to head back to Angie. Angie?
Thanks, Michelle and Sue. Remember, we are also streaming live, so if you have friends or family that don't live in our viewing area, they can still watch us online at WIPB.org or on our Facebook page. That's WIPB-TV. We spent a day in Rushville interviewing our storytellers. Community members collected photos and videos, and our production staff at WIPB put this all together, and it truly is a community effort. We want you to be a part of what keeps programs like this on WIPB. Thanks to everyone who has already called in their support for WIPB and Now Entering Rushville, including, I know,
I feel like there should have been a drum roll there. Do you want me to do one?
Yeah, we have an anonymous donor who says thanks for the work you do at WIPB. Our pleasure.
That. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. Donna Holland said she's watching WIPB tonight to enjoy the program on her hometown of Rushville. She's loved being part of this community for the past 22 years and excited that others can learn of the unique family-oriented atmosphere of this community. Thank you so much for spotlighting my community, Donna Holland.
Oh my goodness, that was lovely. Wasn't that lovely? Thank you, Donna, for taking the time to write that.
Absolutely.
What a lovely message. We'd also like to thank Robert Malone, and he is in Centerville. He is a former pastor of the Church of the Nazarene. He says hello to his friends in Rushville. Thank you so much, Robert. Appreciate that. And I know that, and I know that we've been hearing from people on Facebook as well.
We have, and I just lost my comments. I had them all. I had them all pulled up here,
but
and then they went away.
As you can see, when you call in, we would love for you to give a comment, a note of thanks. What are you enjoying about the program? Do you want to say hi to somebody in our phone bank? Do you want to talk about, you know, maybe how long you lived in Rushville? Maybe you didn't know all of this about Rushville before, and you want to let us know that you appreciate that. So when you call in your donation and your support for this program, be sure to let us know these things, because we love reading these messages on the air. And we know there are a lot of people watching on Facebook. You could do that on Facebook. You could also watch on WIPB.org. So there are lots of ways to watch and participate.
Absolutely. Ben Woods said, Rushville proud, love this show. Yes. Thank you. Hannah McGee says, love this town, so proud to be raised right here on Morgan Street. My childhood was amazing.
Oh.
Cindy Carter Smith said, sometimes things change, but bringing the true heart and soul back to town allows the young children to see and learn how true family towns work. Great job, Rushville.
Oh my goodness, that was lovely.
Paula King said, born and raised in Rushville and still proud to call it home. What a great show. Nancy Picker said, proud to have grown up in Rushville, graduating from RHS in 1956. Thank you for the memories. Barbara Ellis said the Durban Hotel cookbook is a treasure to still have in my kitchen.
Aww.
Let's see, we have a couple more that I can't get to right now, so we'll do those when we
yeah,
come back.
Great comments. Please feel free to keep them coming.
Absolutely.
Keep those calls coming. The phone bank wants to hear from you. The Now Entering program is WIPB's way of connecting with the communities in our viewing area. If your town is interested in being a part of Now Entering, let us know. We love having a project that connects us even more to our communities, and the Now Entering project has been a great way for us to make new friends and engage new members. And remember, you can get your own DVD copy of Now Entering Rushville when you call 800-252-9472. Our phone volunteers, many of them are our amazing storytellers, are waiting to talk to you. If you get a busy signal, that just means a lot of you are calling in to show your support for WIPB and Rushville. Just call back in a few minutes and let us know you're enjoying this program with your gift of support.
From the great music specials to the stunning science and nature shows to fascinating history and the wonderful local programs like the Roundtable and Now Entering, WIPB values bringing you quality programming, and we hope you value WIPB. Let us know with your gift of support. Your contribution, no matter the amount, makes a difference and lets us know that we're doing things right. If you want to receive the Now Entering Rushville DVD, then call us right now and make a gift of support of $60. And with a gift of $108, we'll send you 2 DVDs to thank you for your gift of support. So let's hear from you right now. Call 800-252-9472 or go online to WIPB.org.
So many people were instrumental in making this project a success, getting the word out in town, hosting a town hall meeting, and more. We want to thank everyone who has called in tonight with a contribution. If you haven't called in, now is the time to make that difference, to ensure the future of public television in your community. It's easy to do and just takes a few minutes, and it really does make a big impact. Call now 800-252-9472 or contribute online at WIPB.org. Now, Angie, let's get back to Now Entering Rushville and a pride of lions that made the whole town proud.
I'm Brian Sheehan, Director of Special Projects, and I'm here today to talk to you about art in downtown Rushville. Prior to 2012, really our downtown had just looked old and tired. We didn't really have anything going on downtown. There were no flowers. In 2012, myself and a group got together and we started working on what we called the Lion Pride Project. And the goal was to get something downtown that was visual, got people's attention, and perhaps introduce some art into our downtown. So we came up with the idea to sell concrete lions. Lions are our school mascot. Rush County has one high school, so we thought this is something everybody can get together and kind of a community pride project. Our goal was to sell 20 of them and to have those artistically painted, hopefully by local artists. And as we got started, we started to realize pretty quickly that it was kind of catching on. And at last count, which was just last week, the guy who's helped us with that said we've sold over 300 concrete lions throughout the county. And many of those are downtown. And as people that come through, passerbyers, oftentimes they'll stop, they'll go in a store and say, "Hey, tell me about the lions." So our goal of something visual that really started to engage our art community was a big success. In 2015, we really went after our first big public art, and the goal was to do something that really got your attention on Main Street and told a little bit about our story as far as a community. So we chose Wendell Willkie. He ran for president in 1940. We picked a picture that was well known for that campaign. He'd often have a straw hat in his hand waving at people at rallies, and so that's what we selected. And we selected an artist named Pamela Bliss, who was well known in central Indiana. She had done the Kurt Vonnegut in downtown Indianapolis, and we thought, this is the right person for us, and she's done a great job of not only teaching us about that mural or how to do a mural, but how to bring art to a small town in general. Some of the other projects that people have seen through Rushville where we've been able to, again, get local talent to get involved. Riverside Park, which is our concert series, we had artists come together and paint trash cans. So there's various themes. One of them, I think, even just looked like a big Miller Lite can. So there was a lot of fun around the trash cans. We also, at Christmas time, they did Christmas boxes where they painted those up to look like Christmas presents all along downtown. We also had a couple of picnic tables that were painted and put at the pool in Riverside Park, I believe. And then the Bicentennial project was something else we participated in. The farmers market is another great place for the arts in general. Every Saturday we have our farmers market and artisans market, so we do both a regular market plus artisans. So it's kind of a home for them throughout the year. We also have a large agricultural mural that we did that was sponsored by Pioneer, and some other folks helped us with that. But it's got a farmer and his daughter. The models were local talent. Again, it was done by Pamela Bliss. And one of the neat stories about that is when we were doing that mural, we also did kind of a fun thing locally where we watched Children of the Corn in a cornfield. So we had the movie, and the director, Fritz Kirsch, heard about it, came to Rushville, and watched the movie with us. And so if you look closely up in the corn, you'll actually see his face, which is a little trivia. But that space also had, at the back of the farmer's market, there was just a little painting that once was on the inside of a building at Louie's Ice Cream Shop. And recently, Pamela Bliss came back, helped us touch that up, but more importantly helped us with a new interactive mural, which is, it says Rushville's Greatest Love Story. And it allows couples or families to be able to come there and kind of say, you know, this person plus this person equals love. And I'm certainly very proud to be able to say that my daughter assisted her with that. She's an art student at Ball State, and so it's kind of neat to see, you know, your daughter doing stuff in the town you love with such a good artist. I think art does a number of things wherever it is, but certainly in a small town, it breathes life, sometimes where there is none. And when we started kind of working on our downtown effort, again, we started with Concrete Lions, you know, and some were like, how's Concrete Lion going to change our town? It was just, you know, the butterfly effect. It was something that allowed just a little bit of beauty to show its way through, and that moved itself into other paintings, into painting downtown buildings, into architecture, better signage, a number of things. There's just a lot of things that you do that can help spice up an event or certainly add to the attraction of a community just with small little art projects.
There's been a long series of success of high school basketball in Rushville and Rush County, especially for a town this size and a county the size of Rush County. I'm Chris May, and I'm the Executive Director of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. In boys basketball, the Rushville and RCHS teams have won 48 boys sectional championships, which is 15th most in state history. And in girls basketball, Rushville holds the state record for most girls basketball sectional championships, including 18 consecutive, which is also a state record. The pinnacle year for Rushville boys basketball is 1976. The team finished as the state runner-up, losing the championship game to Marion. It was a miracle season, you may say, a great group of guys who worked really hard together, sort of the storybook Indiana high school basketball experience. Pulled some upsets along the way to win the regional and semi-state, and made it to Market Square Arena. And anytime you talk about Rushville boys basketball, 1976 surely is the year that's going to come to the forefront. Rushville girls basketball are known on a statewide level for their sustained success. They've won more sectional championships than any other girls program in the state. They won 18 consecutive, which remains a state record as well. And they've had so many standout players, standout teams, and eras, reaching the state finals 3 times in the one-class system. But they're probably most well-linked with their longtime and Hall of Fame coach, Cinda Rice Brown. She's known far and wide across the state for the success that her teams had, the ferocity with which they played, and the ferocity with which she coached. And she also was a broadcaster for state finals contests the years her teams weren't in it. And if you mention girls basketball in Rushville, it is known as a powerhouse program, and it continues to this day. The gym that RCHS plays in is the third oldest in use in Indiana high school basketball history, and has an immense amount of history, as you might imagine. When you look back over all those years, there's so much significance that has taken place in high school basketball on that floor and in that gym. And to be the third oldest in a state that prides itself on historic field houses and gymnasiums and large gymnasiums, it stands out for sure. I have people frequently tell me that of all the great high school gyms in Indiana, Rushville is their favorite, and that's also something for the town to take pride in. There's been a long series of success of high school basketball in Rushville and Rush County.
I've always been fascinated that this small community, right now there's 17,400 people that live in Rush County. We've been a very strong agricultural county for so long, and yet we've had some pretty strong ties to state, national, and world politics that come from here. John Gowdy is a really prominent name in not just Rush County politics, but Indiana and world, the politics of the world. John Gowdy was a two-term sheriff here in Rush County, was a two-term auditor, and was the state chairman of the Indiana Republican Party. Gowdy was very instrumental in the McKinley race, McKinley and Williams James Bryan race, and when President McKinley was elected, McKinley appointed John Gowdy to be the consul to Paris for the United States. And because of his service to the United States while he was in France, he's the first consul to be bestowed the honor of the Legion of France. James Watson was actually born in Winchester, Indiana, and John Gowdy was instrumental in bringing him to Rush County. While he was here, he was an attorney, and he was very involved in a lot of different political races. In 1894, he ran for Congress and was elected to Congress. Once he was there, he became very good friends with Joe Cannon, who was the Speaker of the House. And so because he had the relationship with Joe Cannon, Joe made him the Majority Whip, which is the second most prominent position in the Congress. And he was also appointed to the House Ways and Means Committee, another great position for a guy from a small Midwestern community. In 1908, Watson left his political office in Congress to come back to Indiana to run for the governorship, and at that time was unsuccessful and got beat by Thomas Marshall, who later became vice president under Woodrow Wilson. After that, Watson ran for a Senate seat. As fortune would have it, one of the current senators passed away. And so Watson was appointed to fill the remainder of his vacancy, and then was elected for extra terms beyond that point. At that point in the U.S. Senate, he became the majority leader of the Senate. The seventh governor of Indiana, Samuel Bigger, was from Rush County. We've had two former lieutenant governors, Leonidas Sexton and Frank J. Hall, who was mayor of Rushville and later became lieutenant governor. And what's ironic is I believe Hall was a Democrat and Sexton was a Republican. At one time, there were 2 of the 8 sitting statewide constitutional seats in the State House were filled by people from Rush County. Joe Hogsett became friends with Evan Bayh when they were in college at IU. And when the governor was elected, there was a vacancy to fill in the Indiana Secretary of State. Well, he appointed his friend Joe Hogsett, and Joe Hogsett is I believe a '73 graduate of Rushville High School, and so that was kind of exciting around here. And then a year or two later, after that, Sue Ellen Reed. Sue Ellen Reed was superintendent of public schools for Indiana, and was a former superintendent of Rush County Schools. It's fascinating to me that a county of our size could actually control 25% of the statewide elected offices. But it doesn't just go there. After they were out of office, Joe Hogsett then became the Democrat state chairman. And while Joe Hogsett's the Democrat state chairman, Gene Harcourt from Rush County was the vice chairman of the of the Indiana Republican Party under Jim Kittle. So it's a fascinating and interesting aspect as to how politics work in our community, both sides of the aisle, for what it's worth.
My oldest daughter, Barbara Arnold Harcourt, is the first woman judge in the Rush County and actually in surrounding counties. So we're quite proud of her. Went to Earlham College, a nice Quaker college, and I'm a Quaker.
I graduated from Earlham College, and then I went into what was known as the welfare department. I worked with abused and neglected children, and then I became the director of the Rush welfare department, and decided that I needed to go to law school to further help individuals. So I went to law school, and then I became what was known as a commissioner in Henry County, which was a magistrate position. And I ran for the office and was elected in 1988. I was of the very minority party, and I did go out and knock on doors about 80 to 90% of the houses in Rush County. I kept a map and I drew the lines on all of the roads that I went up and down and all the houses I went to, and most of the people had not had anybody knock on their door, and certainly not a young woman in a suit in the middle of a drought year. It was so hot, and so people were really very happy to have somebody involving them in the electoral process. Sue Shields was the first elected judge in Indiana, and that was in, I believe, 1963. And I was elected in 1988, so I was the 25th judge in 25 years that was a woman. At the time that I became a judge, there were not as many women in law school. Now there are a lot more women in law school, a lot more women in the judiciary, so it's changed dramatically since that time. I hope that I've been a positive role model. I've had people say that I am. I don't see that myself, but I've had people say that. I've had many wonderful role models, and in fact, the judge that I worked for, Judge John Kellum in Henry County, was wonderful and got me really started. The other judge that I worked with here in Rush County, Judge David Northam, was a wonderful person to work with, and Judge Thomas Marshall before him was great too. So I can only say that I've had very positive things. It was kind of hard for some of the older attorneys who'd not really worked with a woman in the position as a judge. And in fact, in Henry County, there was a wonderful man, wonderful attorney, been working as an attorney for over 50 years, and he was just a little bit hesitant about it, but it was quite hilarious because I found an error that he made in one of his pleadings, and then about 2 weeks later he found an error that I made. So he came in and he said, "Now everything is even." And he was just so pleased with that. So I can't say that I ever really encountered any problems, and I hope that maybe I helped other people.
I'm Paul Beretta. I am owner and founder of Beretta Associates. It's a one-of-a-kind building, as every courthouse is in Indiana, but we've had the good judgment over the last century, and more than a century, to build it and to preserve it. About 25 years ago, people began to realize that the county courthouse was really a treasure, that there wasn't another building like it, that its features were unique, that it was just a magnificent building, and it has become, upon that realization, the symbol, if you will, of Rush County, and it's our crown jewel in terms of public buildings. The chair rail is all imported marble. The designs in the floor are hand-laid designs that are very intricate, and very few people notice when they go in the entryway, before you actually go through the big heavy wooden doors, right in front it says Rush County Courthouse in mosaic tile, and it's all imported marble. So it was done by hand. I'm not sure that the building could be recreated today. Going into the courtroom, there are two huge stained glass windows. One is of justice, represents justice, and the other is the seal of the state of Indiana. And The stained glass seal of the state of Indiana is supposed to be the largest rendering of the state seal anywhere. The other thing that's cool about it is the stones that are used on every facade of the building were carved on site. And if you go down below the grass lawn about 2 feet, you run into stone chips, where they actually were carving the stone blocks that people see when they look at the courthouse from the outside. We've had madrigal dinners in there. We've had choir concerts. There have been all sorts of public displays. There have been displays of collections of quilts. There have been art displays. Art exhibits is a better word. Because people have realized what a magnificent structure it is. It's inside, it's big. You can have big events in there. And the acoustics are magnificent. It truly is the crown for Rush County. It's just a beautiful structure. As time goes along, the building just becomes more of a treasure than it even is today, and particularly if we can finish the restoration on the 3rd floor, that will complete it. It really is a living structure. The business of government, county government, goes on there every day. But in terms of the building itself, it's a testament to the foresight of the people who had the good judgment to build it in the first place. And it's also a testament to those who realize the necessity to preserve it.
My name is Fred Scott. I was born in Rush County and lived here, raised my family here until my job moved to South Carolina. And I'm going to talk about Rush County notable Jim Scott. Jim was born on the Scott Farm south of Neff's Corner in Richland Township, down in the southeast corner of the county. When he was 6 years old, the family lost the farm and they moved in with Jim's maternal grandfather, who was a Civil War pensioner and an octogenarian who lived in the village of Richland. And Dad spent his boyhood and the Depression living in Richland with his grandfather, who taught him how to smoke a pipe, how to fish, and all of his raunchy Civil War songs. He graduated in 1937, and he spent 44 years teaching in Rush County area schools, except for the war years, and except for a few years when he was truant officer. He had an office in the courthouse and time on his hands. So he poured through all the old newspaper archives in the recorder's office. He read all the old Rush County histories and made notes. He began to give talks on Rush County history. I have the papers that he wrote to give those talks, and I've compiled those papers into a book called The Collected Works of Jim Scott. And if I may, I'll read from the preface. Jim Scott was an athlete, a soldier, a teacher, a coach, a family man, an historian and genealogist, an Indian artifact collector, a whittler and woodcarver, a public speaker and humorist, an old country gentleman, and an all-around rogue. He was also my father and my idol. Dad was a lifelong historian. He had gathered much information from Scott family aunts and uncles. Over time, he scoured records in the Rush and Franklin County courthouses. I have my copy of the genealogy that he accumulated. It's very impressive for the pre-internet age. All things historical interested him. He was Rush County historian for many years. He was a central figure here at the Rush County Historical Museum. He would take the county 4th grade kids on an historical tour of Rush County. As they toured the county, Dad would give a running account of everything in Rush County. He knew everything about the county. They would at least stop at the Goddard School, which was built in 1885 and has been restored to its 1890s situation. They would come to Rushville and he would point out the site of the old Riverside Racecourse. They'd tour the Rush County Courthouse and the Rush County Historical Museum. They would go to East Hill Cemetery and see the graves of presidential candidate Wendell Willkie and evangelist Noel Shaw, who wrote Bringing in the Sheaves. He'd go to Moscow and they would see the old watermill and the covered bridge and the pioneer stone house of John Chappell. They'd go up the river and see the Forsyth covered bridge and the old Roth round barn, which has unfortunately been lost to a storm several years back. The tour terminus was always our house in Richland. The participants could see Dad's wood carvings, including his totem poles. They could see his Indian artifact collection. And Dad had, and the family still has, the old Richland Academy bell, and everybody get a chance to ring the bell. Now I'd like to read a little bit about Morgan's raid and how it affected Rush County, an interesting situation. General John Hunt Morgan, with leading 2,500 Southern cavalry, crossed the Ohio River at Mockport and proceeded north. This was the only invasion by the South into Indiana. Morgan met too much resistance, and he turned east, went through Versailles and on to Ohio. His troops were mounted on good Kentucky horses, but they were forced to move so swiftly that their horses tired. The soldiers would leave a tired horse and steal a fresh one and ride on until that one tired, and then take another. This mixed up horses all over southern Indiana. Later, the government picked up all these lost horses that they could find and took them to Louisville, where people who could pick out their own got them back. It's not really known, but Dad always thought that one of those lost horses was at St. Paul and was sold to Jim Wilson, a leading racehorse man of Noble Township. Wilson called him Old Sam and estimated him to be 4 years old at the time he got him. When it was discovered that Old Sam's foals made fast racehorses, his stud fees went up. He soon found papers and a new registered name, Blue Bull. A book here in the of his lineage here in the museum lists parents and grandparents with the small capital letters IHBS, which has a footnote saying it has been said. Now thereafter, whenever Dad, he thought that was wonderful, whenever Dad had to speculate a little bit about history or invent something to make the story more interesting, he would smile and say, "It has been said." And he became noted for that in Rush County. And that's my dad.
It has been said many times tonight that this has been a wonderful opportunity to learn more about Rushville. And we are having a blast this evening.
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Angie Rapp, along with Michelle Kinsey, and we're coming to you from the WIPB studios on the campus of Ball State University. It's been great celebrating the stories of Rushville. We cannot thank the people and town of Rushville enough for participating in this series. It's the stories of your friends and neighbors coming to life on screen. And behind us,
oh, they're busy. Oh, look, the mayor is artsy.
On our phone bank, we have some of your friends and neighbors, the residents and storytellers from Rushville, helping us take your calls of support. We want to take a minute right now and thank those of you who have already called in with your support.
Awesome.
Just like Mike Lawson.
All right, Mike.
Thank you so much, Mike. He says Rushville's a great place to live.
Fantastic.
Hand that to you. Catherine Waits, I believe is what that says, from Nicetown. Great to see Rushville. We grew up in Rushville, and the show is very interesting.
Wonderful.
And Joe Redden from Rushville, and he said he's born and bred in Rush County and proud of it.
There we go.
And then we have lots of Facebook comments that we've been trying to get to all night. First of all, this one was cute. And you remember back in the, I believe the first segment when we had, first or second segment, when we had the Sergeant Major.
Oh, the Sergeant
So
Major.
Kevin and Jennifer Hadley said they were watching to see the Sergeant Major their grandpa and love from New York. So sending love from New York for the Sergeant Major.
Watching from New York. Thank you so
Yes,
much for
love
tuning
that.
in. We really appreciate that.
And we have so many more. Courtney Hall says, love seeing our little town of Rushville and the history behind it all. And Dave Matney said, I sure am enjoying the special on Rushville, especially the segment with my dear friend Sergeant Major Bob Brown. Kathy Kuhn-Ging said, great representation of the history of Rushville. Gary Cameron, great to watch my neighbors and friends convey the true spirit and pride that comes from living in Rush County. Love my community.
Oh my
Isn't this
goodness,
great?
this is wonderful.
And fantastic show. Go Lions, says Julie Hughes Newhouse. And Ben Wood said, Rushville proud, love this show. So
how great is that?
Lots of people watching on Facebook
Yes.
tonight.
And if you haven't left your comment, there is still time.
Oh,
so you can go to
absolutely.
Facebook, look for the WIPB Facebook page, and look for the live. We're live streaming it right on Facebook, so you can comment away with all of your
And
friends.
you can also give your comments when you call in.
Yes, you
Your
can.
pledge of support at 800-252-9472. And we would like to give a special thanks to our premium presenting sponsor, the City of Rushville.
Woo-hoo!
Rushville is leading the way in rural Indiana. It is a city having fun, thinking differently, and getting things done. Community pride, aggressive planning, and a strong team have given Rushville the confidence and tools necessary to succeed in tomorrow's world.
Thanks again, City of Rushville, for all of your support. When you call in with a gift of $60, we'll send you the Now Entering Rushville DVD as a thank you. Or if you can give a little more with a gift of $108, we'll send you 2 DVDs as a thank you. There is bonus material on the DVD that you won't see on the program tonight, including a look behind the scenes of production day and from the WIPB studios. All you have to do is call us and talk to one of the amazing volunteers behind me at 800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org.
We're here tonight sharing the stories of Rushville, stories that can only be told by your local PBS station, WIPB. Help support the station that brings you such powerful local storytelling by making a contribution right now. We make it easy for you. You choose the amount, you choose if you'd like a thank you gift, and you choose how you'd like to pay. Don't put off making that call. Now is the time to show your love for your hometown of Rushville and support your local PBS station. WIPB takes pride in serving Rushville and East Central Indiana every day with programs you love. We want to hear from you. Your financial support, no matter the amount, really does make a difference. Call 800-252-9472. Now, we've talked to a couple of storytellers tonight, and I think Michelle has snagged another one to chat with. Michelle?
I did, but I promise you there was no arm twisting involved. Is that right?
That's right.
Joining me is Senior Judge Barbara Harcourt, and we've seen her in a few different stories this evening. Judge, tell us about the first story that you told at the beginning of the program, which was a little bit more about your family history,
Growing up.
right?
Mm-hmm. Growing up in Rush County, and all this makes it sound like this is Bedford Falls from It's a Wonderful Life, but it's true.
Yeah.
I feel that way about Rush County, that it is very much like that. It was a great growing up experience, and I was so honored when I was asked to talk about that.
Judge, I love that. And then your second story was about your career in law.
Yes.
And what made you decide to tell that story? Why did you think that was important to
Well, I started out as in what was then called the welfare department, working with abused and neglected children. So that's always been my great heart passion, and so that's why I really wanted to talk about that. And also women in the law, the woman's face is on the scales of justice.
Absolutely.
In our we saw that picture in Glass of Lady Justice, and
Yes.
so women have often been portrayed as justice, and so that's why I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah.
I've been very, very fortunate in my career, and so I wanted to share that with folks.
Yeah, and you mentioned a little bit, you touched on it a little bit, that when you started, looking around, you weren't seeing a lot of women involved in law, and now what do you see,
so
Judge,
different.
as you look around? Talk a little bit about that.
It is such a different scene now with women in the law. And in law schools, there are a lot of women, and so there's lots and lots of opportunities, and I just would like for men and women to think about the judiciary as a path in their legal careers, because it is a wonderful way to give back to the community.
Absolutely, to truly make a difference, right? Each and every day. What advice would you give a young woman who is interested in following this path? Maybe you've shared it before, but what do you tell young women that are looking at
Find
this
a good
career?
mentor.
Yeah.
Find a good mentor. I've had wonderful mentors and been so blessed with that throughout my career. And listen carefully to what they have to say. And follow that. And follow your dreams. Have a big dream and follow that dream.
Oh, I love that. That is a wonderful message for everyone, no matter what career
That's
path
right.
they choose to follow. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
being here
you.
tonight. Thank you so much for sharing both of the stories this evening. They were beautiful. And we're going to head back to Angie.
Thank you so much, Michelle. WIPB believes in making the communities we serve better. We do this through our community engagement activities and through the local programming we bring you, like Wellness Matters, the Roundtable, and Front Row Center at Sursa Performance Hall. The Now Entering series gives us the opportunity to visit and learn more about what makes each of your hometowns unique. We met some new friends in Rushville in the process, and some of them have joined us on this awesome phone bank tonight. They're waiting to hear from you now. Now, they have been great, so keep those phones ringing and let us know that you value WIPB and what we bring to you and your family each and every day. Call 800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org.
Yes. Do we have some more?
We do.
Thank you.
They just keep coming in. David Cross from Connorsville, Indiana. I loved the Rushville show because I was born and raised in Rushville.
Fantastic. Thank you,
David. And Victoria Cooney from Milton, Indiana. Thank you so much. I was not supposed to read that one. David Willkie from Indianapolis says, Rushville always home, great people, we grow great people.
That name sounds familiar.
Do you know that?
Not
Do you know
sure
that
where
one?
have I heard that name
Joe.
before.
Oh, I didn't read that one.
Oh,
Go
you
ahead.
didn't? Joe Rants?
Yep.
Rants? Oh, perfect. He says, Rushville is a wonderful place to live. Thank you, Joe.
And an anonymous donor says, I appreciate WIPB. It's a station I don't have to feel bad watching.
I love that you
I
feel
think that
good
means
watching.
that they feel good watching.
Well, we hope so.
Yes. So that's a good
We hope
thing.
you're feeling wonderful watching tonight and learning more about Rushville.
Absolutely.
Now let's get back to Now Entering Rushville and learn about a mission that is changing lives literally one step at a time.
I'm Maureen Leisure, and I am the co-founder of Changing Footprints, a shoe mission that was started 14 years ago. On TV, on CNN, I'd seen pictures of war-torn countries and third world countries that they had no shoes and no prayer for shoes. And it seemed ridiculous that we in America have so many. I went to work and talked to my co-worker, Bob Broughton, and he was totally in. He said, we need to do something. Let's go for it. So we brainstormed and we decided to get this thing started. We didn't have any idea what we were doing. We didn't have any resources. We didn't have a facility except my dining room. We didn't have any supplies or any packing things. We were just totally grassroots at that point. The more that we talked about it to our friends, we had some that wanted to be a part of it. It's been a long 14 years, made a lot of changes. We have a warehouse here in Rushville, and we have shoes on the shelves. People come in every week and try on shoes, take what they need. There's no money, nothing involved. We get our shoes from shoe drives, shoe drop-off points, and we have opened a warehouse in Indianapolis. We have one in Greenfield, one in Greenwood that is limping along because we need more space. We have one that has just started in Fort Wayne. They are all very dedicated, very passionate about the mission. With the 4 locations in Rushville, in the 14 years we've been in existence, we have distributed over 250,000 pair of shoes throughout central Indiana, throughout the country, and throughout the world. It's something that's continuing to expand. We're really excited about it. The shoe drives, they come from churches, missions, school youth groups, service clubs. We go out and speak to these people about the importance of giving back. Just a few things that make our mission a little bit different than others. We deal with new and gently used shoes. We clean them, wash them, put new shoelaces in them, and they look like new. And many of the missions that you will see out there, they deal only in new shoes. They don't want gently used shoes. Not everybody can donate new shoes, but practically everyone has got shoes that have been outgrown, that didn't fit right, they never wore them. So this is something that anybody can be a part of. We are also a green organization. By the very nature of our mission, we keep hundreds of thousands of shoes out of local landfills. And that's a pretty awesome thing. Anything that we can't use goes to Nike Grind, and they grind up the shoes, and they are used for playgrounds, tennis courts, parking areas. Slippers go to nursing homes. Tap shoes and ballet shoes go to a local dance studio. We have got a lot of cleats that we have provided to several area schools, particularly low-income schools where the kids could not afford cleats. We try not to let anything go to waste. We find a place for everything.
My name is Barbara Hirschberger, and I am an intern for the city of Rushville. So the Centennial celebration, it occurred in 1922, 100 years after the foundation of Rushville as an unincorporated town. There were a lot of festivities and celebrations, ways to commemorate 100 years of being a town. One of my personal favorites is they created a plaque that was placed on the rock by the courthouse to commemorate William B. Laughlin, who was known as the town's first citizen. And so something really cool is that it's still there today, just on the north side of the courthouse. There was a parade. There was never a shortage of musical festivities and bands and orchestras and such. The Sesquicentennial occurred in 1972. It was a season of festivities with a week of slotted events, but the entire season was full of fun. One of my personal favorites, they had a few groups from around the county. They were known as the Brush Brothers, just a group of males from different portions of the county where they would all grow out their facial hair. And so they had a lot of fun with that, creating different personas. My favorite being Mr. Easy Razor, which is spelled R-A-Y-Z-O-R. There was a group called the Sisters of the Bustle. They had a variety of community events such as like bake sales, picnics. They would wear the clothing of 1822 when the town was first founded. both of the groups, they had something known as kangaroo court, where you could find someone for just outlandish claims, which was just used as a fun excuse to raise some money for the celebration. There's also a big parade. It was known as one of the most significant in the state of Indiana, second only to the Indy 500, which is pretty cool for a rural town, not a large population. They just were able to have a lot of fun while also celebrating.
Welcome to the home of John Gowdy, built in 1888, and now the current home for the Rush County Historical Society Museum. Come along inside and join me in the house.
John Gowdy, known as Jack to his closest friends, was a man of many hats. John was a farmer, and he also served in the Civil War until 1865. John returned home to Rush County and served 2 terms as sheriff of the county and later 2 terms as auditor of Rush County. President McKinley appointed John Gowdy as Consul General to Paris, France. John served along with his wife Eva and his daughter Fanny for 7 years. John assisted in locating the body of John Paul Jones and returning it to Annapolis, Maryland, to the Naval Academy. John also certified the signatures of the transfer of the Panama Canal by the French government to the United States government.
Well, one of the Gowdy family's nephews in the late 1930s, after the Gowdy family was no longer living here, decided that the Rush County Historical Society might want to use this as a museum. So it was given for that purpose in 1940 by Clark Offutt. Originally, the intent was to preserve artifacts from basically the pioneer period in Rush County. And of course, we've evolved since that time to include up to the present time. So the collections have grown and grown. We have a school exhibit, the Kennedy Bridges, a very important aspect of our history. The furniture making industry, I have several pieces of furniture from that. The military room is interested. The Wendell Willkie years. And then we also have had quite a Quaker influence in our community, particularly in the northern part of the county, the Underground Railroad, and the settlements there of freedmen from North Carolina that came along about the time the Quakers did. So that's an interesting exhibit too. All kinds of manuscripts and historical documents, etc., that we are now trying to make sure we have cataloged and preserved properly. So there are a lot of things going on today that probably weren't thought about in 1940 in terms of the collection and its preservation.
My name is Sue Preifogel, and I'm the director of the Rushville Public Library, and I've been the director for 30 years. There were lots of efforts during the 1800s and very early 1900s to create a Rushville Public Library, or a Rush County Library for that matter. And there was an attempt, a very serious attempt, about 1907 to have a Carnegie Library here in Rushville, and it failed. So women decided to take charge, as they usually do. And so in 1910, we had a newly forming Daughters of the American Revolution chapter here in Rush County. And they decided to use for their pet project, starting project, the creation of a Rushville Public Library. And so in February of 1910, they had what they called a book shower, where people could come and donate books and bring them for the collection. On the heels of that, they drew up some rules of the library, and then they had to look for a place to have the library. And eventually they approached the commissioners and the council at the courthouse, and they asked if they could have the 2 lower level rooms of the courthouse. And that was the creation of the Rushville Public Library. And they also hired the first librarian, who was Mary Sleeth. Mary Sleeth, you won't be able to tell, but is my hero, my local hero. She was born in 1875, and she went to Earlham College. She taught, she worked at other libraries. And so by the time that the DAR selected her as the librarian, she was already 35 years old, never married, very independent, very progressive in her thought and what she wanted to accomplish. And what she did accomplish from 1910 to the end of her life was a juggling of her role as the library director and a political role too. And as early as the 19-teens, she was involved politically. She led the Women's Franchise League here in Rush County. She was the president at one point, but mostly a leader. And what the Women's Franchise League did was they tried to get the vote for women. So she would often bring in speakers from around the United States, around Indiana, to Rushville to speak to people about, women should have certain rights, including the right to vote, and so on. She was the first female electorate for the state of Indiana in a national election in 1924. But by 1930, her tenure as the library director pretty much came to an end. Her connection with Wendell Willkie is that one of her first assistants way back in 1911, 1912 along there was Edith Wilk, who was eventually Mrs. Wendell Willkie. And even though Edith married Wendell Willkie and moved away and so on, Mary Sleeth and Edith stayed very close in contact, and she remained a very close friend of the Willkies. And so in 1939, she became manager of Wendell Willkie's farms. He had more than 1,000 acres here in Rush County. She joined Wendell Willkie and Edith on the campaign a lot of the time, kind of being Edith Willkie's traveling companion and so on. And so that's how she was involved. I know she went to the convention in 1940 in Philadelphia. So there are several pictures. Usually you'll see Wendell Willkie and his wife Edith, and somewhere in the picture there'll be Mary Sleeth. Or if you're reading an article or something about the Willkies, somewhere it will always mention Mary Sleeth. She was always there.
Auto racing in Rushville started way back in the mid-1920s. There was a 1-mile dirt track at the south edge of town. Horse racing had been taking place there for several years, and organizers and promoters decided, hey, we're going to do an auto race here on this large 1-mile racetrack. Even the Indy 500 was less than 20 years old, and automobiles were actually pretty much in their infancy at that time. So it was very alluring for fans. More often than not, it was 2,000 to 5,000 people would turn out for these races. There was no less than 3 Indy 500 drivers that came to race at Rushville. Howdy Wilcox from Indianapolis, Wild Bill Cummings, and then the third and most recognizable name from that era would have been Wilbur Shaw, the 3-time winner of the Indianapolis 500. Thinking back to that time period, small narrow tires, open top cars, and believe it or not, that these drivers would more times than not drive their cars to the racetrack, run the races, and if their cars were in good enough shape, they'd drive them home. The speeds averaged in the 1920s somewhere between 60 and 65 miles an hour. In the early 1930s, they were running average speeds in the 70s. Danger was on the horizon, and Unfortunately, they did have at least 2 drivers that lost their lives in racing accidents. There was one tragic day in 1929 on Labor Day. Several people were injured. Unfortunately, 2 teenage boys were fatally injured. In the early 1930s, Rushville Speedway started feeling the effects of the Great Depression. In 1933, the early part of the year, the town council voted on and decided to reroute the river. They virtually plowed up the speedway, cut it in half, and rerouted the river at that time. So that, in effect, was the demise of the Rushville Speedway. It wasn't the end of auto racing by any means for Rush County and Rushville. In 1947, the very first 3/4 midget race ever held in the United States was held on a small farm just outside of Rushville. And in 1950, the Rush County Fair Board actually built a racetrack. In 1953, the Fair Board decided to move that racetrack across the street to where its current residence is. They still hold auto racing there today for the 3/4 midgets. Some of the big name drivers that have participated in 3/4 midget racing here at Rushville in the past would be Pancho Carter, Dana Carter, Jimmy Carruthers, Danny Carruthers, Billy Bukovich Jr., Ed Carpenter, who owns an IndyCar team right now, and midget Mel Kenyon. Most recognizable name, of course, is Tony Stewart, who, by the way, won his very first 3/4 midget race feature right here in Rushville in 1989. Tony came back yet this year, a few weeks ago, and participated at the county fair and won a feature race. In 1992, he moved in with the Larry Martz family on Main Street, and he lived with the Martz family for about a year and a half, and we became pretty close. And everywhere I seemed to go to watch Tony race, he was super popular. And in '94, before the season was over, I had mentioned to Tony after a race one night, I said, "Tony, man, the fans, they love you. Why don't we start a fan club?" So I remember him calling me on that next Monday, and he says, "Delbert, let's do that deal." So there was the beginning of the fan club, and I did it right out of my home. It blossomed to 100 pretty quickly, and then it went from there on up to about 500 members, and you would get a membership card, a certificate, and a bi-monthly newsletter. Tony was always a big fan of picnics. He encouraged us to have fan club picnics, and I can recall in the early days of starting the fan club, when Tony was a rookie at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, he insisted on having a picnic. So we loaded gas grills in the back of our pickup trucks, hauled them the hour up to just south of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. There was about 100 attended, so it was a really good turnout. Tony signed autographs till everybody got their fill of pictures and autographs, and we just had a great time. We've had fan club picnics as far away as Texas and Dover, Delaware, Richmond, Virginia, Charlotte, of course Indianapolis, but a lot of good friendships were formed there. We had a street named after Tony, and he came back for that event, and Tony comes back often. We called it his racing home, because that's when he really started taking off, was when he lived here. Rushville Rocket, the racing home of Tony Stewart.
My name is David Willkie, and I'm here to talk about my grandfather, Wendell Willkie, and his tie to Rush County and Rushville. So my grandfather, Wendell, was born in Elwood and grew up in Elwood in Madison County, but his wife, Edith, was from here in Rushville. He went to Indiana University, was in the Army during World War I. That's when he met and married my grandmother. They were married actually here in Rushville. Afterwards, he became a lawyer in Akron, Ohio, working for a rubber company there, Firestone, and a periphery law firm, before moving to New York City, where he worked as the CEO of a utility holding company, which was providing electricity to the rural South. Many people, especially in New York, where he was living at the time, were fascinated by him. He was bright, he was quick, he was energetic, charismatic, and there were a lot that thought he might be the perfect person to take on the president. There were many isolationists in the Republican Party, and my grandfather was anything but. He was the only Republican at the time that was anti-Nazi. Now that seems strange at this point in time, but then it was a little bit different. And he captured the nomination in a large part because Germany invaded France and everybody was left flat-footed. And that's where he rose into prominence into the Republican Party and captured the nomination in Philadelphia during the convention. My grandfather, when he was deciding after he had captured the nomination, deciding to put his headquarters someplace, the logical place was in Rush County in Rushville. Why? Because he owned farmland here. And this is the only place that he ever owned any property was Rush County. Rush County was where his in-laws lived. It's where he sent his son for his summers. This has been part of our family history for generations. I'm actually 6th generation here in Rush County at the Presbyterian Church, and I'm very proud of that fact, and the whole family is. So in thinking about where to put the headquarters, it was the natural place. The house that we have now, and the family still owns it, was the house that was used as the campaign house. The Durban Hotel was the campaign headquarters, and it was a natural fit because in Rush County, we have some really, really good people. So my grandfather would come out on the front porch and talk to the press, talk to people in town, just about what he thought the issues were for the day, and he was very approachable in that way. So my grandfather didn't win the election in 1940, but he was still extremely active. Worked with the administration and was the loyal opposition in the lead up to World War II. He approached the administration, and Franklin Roosevelt was happy to have him to visit all the war fronts and to report back to the American people what he thought about the war effort. That came in culmination to a book called One World. And this was a huge boost to morale. It brought the country together under one leadership and was, by many accounts, very helpful in the war effort. And throughout the political establishment, people on both sides of the aisle have seen things that they've enjoyed about my grandfather. He was a champion of civil rights a generation before the civil rights movements came about. Senator Richard Lugar from here in Indiana, that's where he got his start, listening to my grandfather. The campaign coming in and being located here in Rushville, I think, was transformational for the town because it brought the town on the national and the international stage, and it's still there today. The people saw here in Rushville, others coming in from all over the country, and were exposed to so much of the rest of the world. They also knew that anything was possible, and that still holds true to today.
What? Oh yeah, they were ready. They were like, is it now? Yeah. What a great phone bank.
This
we were
phone
just talking
bank
about
has
it.
been so fun.
Yeah.
It has been said.
Yeah, that this is one of the best phone banks in the history of ever. Way to go, phone bank. Way to go. Way to go.
I'm sorry, I gotta get back.
Thanks to all of you who have called in tonight to support WIPB and Rushville. We hope you're enjoying getting to know your neighbors in Rushville. We know we are,
yes,
aren't we? And all the wonderful things about their town. Call in now and let us know that you like this series and you want to see more of this type of programming on WIPB. We have so many people to thank.
Yay!
And we have, first of all, a comment from Deborah Walker. She said she moved here from New York to be with family in their retirement, and it feels like coming home. Love everything about it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Deborah.
Elena McKenzie of Muncie says, I love this program. I love learning about Indiana towns, and the hosts are great. It has been said.
It has been said.
Elena,
now we have it in writing.
Elena
the
knows.
hosts are great.
Patrick Kitchen from Wheaton, Illinois.
What?
Called in with support. Thank you, Patrick.
Fantastic.
Wheaton, Illinois. Stephen Smith called in from Anderson, Indiana.
All right, Stephen.
He said his wife was born and raised there and still loves the city.
Fantastic.
Brian Campbell of Rushville, thank you so much.
Absolutely, Brian.
Amy Ashcraft of Are you ready for this one?
Yes.
Athens, Ohio.
Thank you for, oh my
That's
goodness,
over
thanks for
there.
calling in. Yeah.
And she went to high school with David Willkie and supports his community work and thinks he's awesome.
Uh-oh, David Willkie fan club.
It has been said.
David Willkie
and
fan
Paul
club.
Barada of Rushville, thank you so much for calling in your
Wonderful.
support. And we have so much on Facebook. And oh gosh, oh yeah. Okay, so Troy, well, there's a whole thing that we have more details. Troy Sparks said his brother Roy and he are the largest twins ever born in Rushville or Rush County. And immediately we all went, what does this mean?
Yeah. Were
right?
they the largest when they were born? Are they large now?
We had questions.
What is it?
Right? So then someone else piped in, Heather Gibson Sheehan said, Troy, how the biggest? Exactly. Staff is asking.
Thank you, Heather.
And then Troy says, 7 pounds, 4 ounces, and 7 pounds, 13 ounces. You heard it here.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've
Largest
gotten
twins.
to the bottom of it.
Fantastic.
All right, now Tiffany Fisher loved the city of Rushville, lived there all my life. Suzette Kyle enjoying the history of the town I have called home all my life. I appreciate the historians that have come before me and can share Rushville. Very proud. That's lovely. Kim Rowe really enjoying the show and very glad to call Rushville my home. Jenny Ball Irvine wouldn't have wanted to raise my kids and open a business anywhere else. We love our community. Perry Bennett, thanks to all Rush County historians who assisted in putting the show together. Absolutely.
Wow.
And great representation of the history of Rushville, said Kathy Kuhn-Ging. I think I read that one last time. So I think we're caught up on Facebook.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, keep those comments coming. Keep those calls coming. That was a great last break. The
Absolutely.
phone
Yes, it
bank
sure
wants
was.
to hear from more people, right, phone bank? That's right. Well, we also want to thank our community sponsors who helped bring you tonight's episode of Now Entering Rushville. American Family Insurance, Kevin Snyder, agent. Citizens State Bank, First Financial Bank, Heart of Rushville, Jane Smiley CPA, Rush County Economic and Community Development Corporation, Rush County Chamber of Commerce, and Payne Insurance. And our presenting sponsor, Barada Associates.
Barada.
Barada.
Darn it. Darn it. We had it.
We listen.
We practiced.
Barada.
Barada.
Thank you, Barada.
Darn it. Every day.
We tried so hard. They were helping. They told us like 1,000 times how to pronounce it correctly. Barada. Thank you, Barada Associates.
Every day, WIPB takes you on new adventures with a broad range of perspectives and voices you won't get anywhere else. And at WIPB, we take our role as East Central Indiana's PBS station very seriously. Honestly, we do. Serving as a vital educational and cultural resource within your community. Your financial support makes everything we do possible and ensures that we continue broadcasting the best, most diverse, and most trusted television programming available. If you're enjoying Now Entering Rushville, make a gift of support to WIPB now by calling 800-252-9472 and talk to one of our awesome phone volunteers. Or you can give online at WIPB.org.
If you donate $60 tonight, we'll thank you with the Now Entering Rushville DVD, which will include behind-the-scenes footage of Production Day in Rushville and here at the WIPB studios. Plus, you'll see photos and stories not seen in the program tonight. If you donate $108, we'll thank you with 2 DVDs. If you live in Rushville or you once called Rushville home, we want to hear from you now. Support local programs like Now Entering so we can continue to tell the stories of small towns in East Central Indiana.
The Now Entering series is one of our favorite local programs. We love being able to connect our viewers with storytellers who tell great local stories. But we can't do it without your support. Your financial support, no matter the amount, really does make a difference. WIPB is a nonprofit organization that depends on funding from a variety of sources: federal, state, business, and individuals like you. So call us right now at 800-252-9472 or go online to show your support for Rushville and WIPB. Now I think Michelle has one more storyteller. Michelle?
I do, and we were already talking. I am with David Willkie, who, as you know, already has a huge fan club this evening. They've been calling in and saying hello to you. And in fact, you were just telling me you got a text from someone you hadn't talked to in years, right?
Amy Ashcraft, who we went to high school together at Culver, just sent me a note today and this afternoon as we were on the air. And so I said we had this program going on. And the next thing I know, she said, lovely that she's gotten 2 DVDs that she's given.
Awesome.
So thank you, Amy. That was so wonderful.
Thank you, Amy, and thanks to everyone else that's been calling in. David, your story was fantastic, and I really loved the photos. Yes. Talk a little bit about how you collected those. Where were they? Did you have to go through a lot of them? Talk about the process.
You know, I'm very fortunate in that way is because there's such a huge history of my family, especially of my grandfather, of all the photographs that were being taken at the time. And so my grandmother, at the time of his death, was wondering what to do with his papers and afterwards. And they were given to Indiana University, to the Lilly Library there. And that was the start of their political collection.
Oh, wow.
So you have lots of academics that come in. We had a wonderful book that was written last year by David Levering Lewis, who 2-time Pulitzer Prize winner, which was a wonderful book that came out. There's going to be another book that comes out too this next year by a professor at Brown University.
That's fantastic.
And so you really have, I think the wonderful thing about the Willkie story is each generation finds out about it and says, wow, what a neat story, what a neat place. Yeah.
Yeah. And now you've shared it with many, many other people, which is fantastic. Was there anything new that you discovered or something that was a surprise to you as you were kind of investigating and wanting to tell the story?
You know, I would say this, there's always different aspects, and what I enjoy is the people in Rushville itself and the stories they have about my grandfather and their families that had. He stopped by their house, you know, he had dinner with them, they helped him out in some way, shape, or form, and that's become part of the community, that it's part of the DNA that's there. So extremely proud of Rushville, which has always been home, and always coming back here, wherever I've lived. I used to live in New York City for a while, and the connection between New York and Rushville is if you go out to my grandfather's gravesite, there's a granite book that has an extended motto that he had talking about how to live and why he believed in America. Part of that is on the side of the New York Public Library on 5th Avenue and 40th Street. Yes.
And when did you learn that? Have you known that for a long time?
Well, you know, it's a wonderful thing, and as we say in the family, you know, Rushville becomes the center of the universe, and we're either between New York and Rushville, and maybe a little bit of time in D.C. too. But wonderful things like that. And I worked for Senator Lugar. Loved working for him, and he always told the story about how he got his start in politics was listening to my grandfather and that inspiration. Yes, it really was, and just having the continuity there.
Yeah, it must make you feel very proud to know how many people your grandfather impacted.
Yes, yes.
And continues to do so.
Yes,
I think through, like you said, the books and exhibits and the libraries and even, you know, now entering.
Yes.
The story is getting out, and I'm sure he will be impacting people for years to come.
And it's a wonderful thing about just the aspirational of what we can do as a people. And as he always said, you know, why do I believe in America? It's because you can dream your dreams and you can make them come true. And that's still true today.
Absolutely it is. Well, thank you so much for being here this evening. Thanks for sitting in on the phone bank, and thank you so much for telling the story of your grandfather.
This has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Angie, back to you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. If you're currently a member of WIPB, whether you give every month or every year, we thank you. Every contribution you make to the station strengthens our community by allowing us to be able to bring everyone programming they can trust. Programming that informs, entertains, and programming that really does make a difference. And that's why your gift matters. Thanks again to the wonderful residents of Rushville for sharing their stories and volunteering their time. If you would like to nominate your town for consideration, send us a note or give us a call. We want to share the stories of your town told by you. We are very excited to announce, here it comes, that the next town we will be visiting is Hartford City. So we'll be coming to you next, Hartford City. Yeah, you can This phone bank has really set the bar high, though. So
Yes.
Hartford City, you better get your game on because this phone
those
bank's
stories
been
ready.
great.
Yep.
Watch for the next Now Entering episode to air this winter. Thanks again to all the sponsors who helped support this programming, and thanks to all of you who called in and joined the WIPB family tonight. I know we have some more people to thank.
Ooh.
All right, so Clinton McCreary of Rushville, really enjoying the programming, and Aaron Kuhn, also of Rushville, enjoys living in Rush County and the people that live there.
Love it.
We enjoy the people too.
So much.
Yes.
Kip Burkett says, wonderful program, wonderful town of Rushville. What a wonderful comment, Kip.
It has been said.
It has been said that Rushville is wonderful, and we concur. What do you want? If you haven't made that call yet, there's still time.
There's always time.
So much time.
You can call overnight, you can call tomorrow, you can call the next day. We're here.
We are here. Yep,
The number
800-252-9472, or give online at
WIPB.org.
Are there any more? Any more? All right.
If you haven't called, there's still time. Don't worry.
That's right. That's right. And there are opportunities. Call in, go online.
Yep.
We have many, many ways to participate. We know that a lot of you are enjoying the program. We'll be telling your friends.
Yep.
You could watch it on Facebook.
Yep.
Afterward, where else is it available? It's available on our YouTubes.
WIPB.org. Just click right there.
That's right. That's right. Well, we're
getting the hand signal from
want to
Sam.
thank our crew, our phone bank. Thank you so much to our phone bank. Thank you so much to our amazing storytellers, and thank you for watching this evening.
Have a great evening, and we'll see you soon, Hartford City.
Now Entering is made possible with support from City of Rushville, Berida Associates, with additional support from American Family Insurance, Kevin Snyder, agent, Citizen State Bank, First Financial Bank, Heart of Rushville, Jane Smiley, CPA, Rush County Chamber of Commerce, Payne Insurance, Rush County Economic and Community Development Corporation.
Rushville is leading the way in rural Indiana. It is a city having fun, thinking differently, and getting things done. Community pride, aggressive planning, and a strong team have given Rushville the confidence and tools necessary to succeed in tomorrow's world.
Berida Associates has been helping companies make successful personnel decisions using employment background screenings, pre-employment screenings, and background checks for 40 years. Since 1979, Berida Associates offers clients the highest level of customer service, legal compliance, and ease of process.
You're watching WIPB, a community-supported service of Ball State University, where we create education innovation for meaningful impact.
The Texas Tenors